Serious? All right, hello everybody. Great to be here. Give me a little clap if you've enjoyed the conference so far today. Has the conference been good? Beautiful. Give me a little clap if you are ready for some beer. Okay. All right, my name is Daniel Kelly. I am first and foremost a husband and a father. I'm also a full-stack developer. Did that for about 10 years, really going on 15 years now, but doing a lot of content creation. I'm kind of in the midst of that. I am the lead instructor at BitterBrains. If you are not familiar with BitterBrains, you're probably familiar with some of their kind of underlying companies. Companies like VueSchool, companies like certificates.dev that has certs for VueJS, Nux, JavaScript, and Angular. So BitterBrains has been a really great company to me. We've been growing a lot in recent years, and we are currently open for some investment opportunities. So if you share our goal of empowering developers, then we definitely recommend you at least go to bitterbrains.com and read up a little bit on it and see if it's something you would like to be involved with. All right, so the name of my talk is Vue Magic, AI Development Tricks. Full disclosure, AI came up with that title. In fact, AI came up with absolutely everything on this slide. So AI, in some ways, makes me feel like a wizard. But AI also makes me feel like an awkward teenager. Makes me feel like I really don't understand my place in this new world. It makes me feel like I'm not really sure how my job is going to change. I'm not really sure how the environment is going to be for developers 1, 2, 5 years from now. It makes me feel a little scared, a little insecure, and to be honest, I don't think I'm alone with this feeling. But, at least speaking for myself, I think I'll figure it out. All right? Web development has progressed since I first started doing it. We're not using jQuery anymore, right? I'm not coding things in WordPress, though there's plenty of people still out there doing that. That's great. Point is I've adapted and I've evolved, and I think it may be a larger step than some of those other adaptions, but I've done it before, and I think you can do it as well. But this statement is not just a, hey, we'll figure it out, good feeling kind of statement. This statement is also a little bit of a warning, to be honest, because I think it's going to be very important that you make an effort to figure this out. Because, to be honest, if you aren't on board and jump on the AI train, at least in some capacity, and use it to optimize your workflows, you are going to be left behind. There's magic to this, okay? It's not just a trend. It's not just a fad. It's not going anywhere anytime soon. No, it's not perfect, but it's something you need to start familiarizing yourself with if you've been dragging your feet up until this point, okay? But I think we can all do it. We've all, in development, we've learned new things. We've adapted before. But not only that, not only is it a hurdle to jump over, because there is some hurdles here, right? I'm 37 years old. That doesn't feel old, but a lot of times I feel like, oh, do I really have to learn a new thing, right? But there's also a lot of magic. There's a lot of power in it, and I think developing alongside AI can produce some really great results that you're proud of and gives you a good feeling at work, okay? All right, so let's just kind of introduce AI for just a moment. Number one, AI at this point is certainly still just a co-pilot. It's not a developer. Okay? It still needs the developer in the mix, though I will say it's getting, the more and more I dive into it, the more powerful it becomes, but it still needs you to guide it, all right? So I don't think developer jobs are going anywhere, but I do think there's going to be a reduction in the number of people required to produce the same amount of results as this time 2 years ago, right? So AI will absolutely boost your productivity when you use it responsibly. However, it can also destroy your productivity. I am 100% guilty of this. If you think AI is going to do it all for you and you turn your brain off and stop thinking and rely on it completely, it will absolutely destroy your productivity. So there's a balance when it comes to working with AI. Finally, just one little warning here. Don't believe everything you hear on social media. I did for too long, and it really made me feel like I was terribly behind, but I don't think all of them are telling the truth. Okay? Yes, there's a lot of power in this AI, but somebody who has never coded in their life probably isn't making $1 million off that app they built over the weekend, right? So it's not too late. You can learn, you can be productive with AI starting today. Why choose AI? Number one, you're able to produce code more quickly. This is the obvious one, but it also helps to surface solutions that you have never even thought about. Just a quick little example of that. On Friday night, if you have, I believe there's like an extended ticket or something. But anyways, we're doing this little game on Friday night after things are over. It's a JavaScript quiz. I built this little application with AI very quickly using Cursor. And each question in this quiz is just basically another slide. And the way I was thinking about the slides was each individual slide was like a question slide, and then the next slide would be the answer slide, right? Well, I told AI to start building this for me, and it said, no, I think you should have a keyboard shortcut for showing the answers. And it did it for me very well, and it actually gave me a little bit more control over this presentation. It's something that I didn't even think about doing, but it was a good feature add for me, the end user. That's a super small example, but the point is AI can really kind of help you brainstorm and figure out different ways of doing things that you wouldn't have thought about by yourself. It's not just about writing the code. It also helps you think at a higher business level. A lot of times, us developers, just by the nature of what we do, we're in the weeds of the code. We're thinking technical thoughts, right? But AI allows you to take a step up the ladder, think less of those technical thoughts. I didn't say don't think about them. I said think less about them, and is able to think more about what's good for the end user. You know, how does this particular feature impact my business's bottom line? A quick little case study that I put together in order to prepare for this talk was a textbook exam generator. It was built with Nuxt.js. Essentially, you scan a page, take a picture of a textbook page. This is my daughter's science book. You upload it to the app, and it creates a quiz for you based on the content of those pages. Okay? Pretty cool, fairly simple, but actually a really robust application. Okay, so with that use case, that test case in mind, let's talk about a little bit about how I used AI to help me actually develop it, how I used AI to write the code, but then also how I integrated AI into the actual application. So this talk is twofold. We're going to talk about boosting your workflow with AI, and we're going to talk about using AI inside of your app to boost your end user's experience, right? First thing first, download Cursor. Visual Studio Code is free. It's awesome. I used it for a long time. Copilot is free now, at least to some extent. With my experience, it doesn't hold a candle to what Cursor can do. I dragged my feet on this for a long time. Just go ahead and download Cursor, bite the bullet, spend a month's worth of subscription on it, and you can tweet at me if you haven't changed your mind, okay? Cursor is really a game changer. It's super, super handy. It has inline AI auto-completion abilities, so just press tab. It's context-aware. This is nothing new. Copilot can do that. It also has an AI chat where you can ask it questions that are also context-aware. It knows what your project is about, and so it can answer the questions more intelligently. That's not new. Copilot can do that. But its agent mode is super powerful. This is where you have basically another junior developer added to your team that can actually write code for you. It can generate code not just in the file that you have open, but it can generate code in multiple files. It can run commands in your terminal. And all of the things that you're working with, all the code that this agent produces is completely version control, so if it produces something bad, you can just get rid of it, right? It writes files to the file system so that you can accept changes without actually or so that you can preview the output without accepting those changes. You can see, did the bot do what I wanted it to do? Open the browser. Oh, yeah, it did. Great. 5 seconds later, I'm good to go. Okay? It's great for generating components, tests, or even full application features. So let's try out generating a feature in our little test maker app. Let's see if this works on the Wi-Fi here. We shall see. Okay, so I'm going to open up my chat with Command I. Make sure agent is chosen right over here. Then I'm going to create a new tab, and let's say, so over here inside of my app, I've got this avatar, and there's a settings menu item, but this settings menu item doesn't lead to anywhere yet. The feature just doesn't exist. So let's see if we can have AI create a settings page for me. Please, because we're polite, please create a settings. Let's go back and say, please create a user settings page. I could give it more direction if I had something more in mind, but I'm just brainstorming at this point to see what it comes up with. Let's give it a run and see what happens. Okay, I'll help you create a user settings page. First, let's understand what we have in the code base. Oh, that's a great idea. Then create the necessary components and functionality. So it searched for any existing user-related files. What did it find? Okay, it found several things. Found some database schema. It found some pages. It found, oh, look at that. It found the navbar component, the dashboard navigation component that settings menu item was in. Okay, I noticed that we have Supabase auth set up. We're using shadcn view. Yeah, let's skip through some of this. So it looks like it's creating a new schema to store some of these user settings inside of my database. So man, it's getting kind of handsy. Now I'll create a server service for handling profiles. So I've kind of given it some rules to say, hey, don't do all your server-side stuff directly inside of a server-side endpoint. Instead, kind of create some services, like some utility things, and use those inside of the endpoints. This is Nuxt, so now it is creating an API endpoint for me, which is pretty cool. All right. Taking a little longer than I thought it would on stage with my time just running. But let's see if it's actually going to output something on the page. We won't try to run it. Yes, that says settings form dumb. That's some of my dumb rules that I was experimenting with and didn't turn out exactly like I wanted them to. Okay, let's come back. We'll see how it does in just a minute. Okay, but now let's talk about generating a component, okay? I've found that besides generating a feature, which can be kind of hit and miss, generating components that's a more focused scope is oftentimes extremely useful. For example, I needed a way to upload these scan pages more than one at a time. So I used the agent, put in maybe 2 or 3 prompts, and came out with this upload component that shows the image previews. It has an error on the individual file uploads if any of them errors out, and it works. It saves it to my backend. It saves it to my database. This would have taken me hours in order to produce all by myself. But this took maybe 15 minutes tops. So some tips when generating a component. Be specific about what you want. If you have something specific in your head, the AI is not a mind reader. Tell it what's in your head. If you do want to experiment and just kind of see what happens, be a little looser. That is fine too. Just don't expect it to read your mind. Also, don't expect a perfect working solution. It's not going to get it right the first time every time. A lot of times it does, but it won't every time. You'll have to do some back and forth. Also, use a .cursor rules to specify preferences and then to steer the LLM away from common mistakes. Now, I gave this talk a couple months ago, and just to show you how fast AI is moving, that .cursor rules file is already deprecated. There's a replacement, and I'll talk about that in just a moment. But let's just take a look at a few of the cursor rules that I used for components in this project. Number 1, I said shadcn view there on line 5. Shadcn view is installed and can be used to generate most common UI elements. Okay, so I kind of told it what library I was using. I also said shadcn view components can be installed with a bash command, like so. Then never try to generate a shadcn component. Rather, always prompt me to install it when needed. So this is a good example of if an error comes up multiple times, go throw something in your rules file or another place we'll talk about in just a second to make sure it doesn't do that again. I found it actually trying to generate the shadcn components directly in my code base instead of using the command to install them, right? And then I've just got some other more general preferences in here, things like use script setup, provide component sections in this order, so on and so forth. So this .cursor rules is a great place to kind of tailor the project to your personal likings. Okay, now the project rules feature inside of Cursor is what now replaces .cursor rules. It essentially breaks up those .cursor rules into different files for the sake of organization and for the sake of the program being able to better target what it needs for the context. Okay? All of this is on the Cursor website, so I won't read those. Okay, some general workflow tips. Just a little bit of a I don't know, a warning here maybe. I haven't actually done all of these things. I've done some of these things. Others I've just heard from other people work well. But pretty much everything else in this talk I have experienced myself. So, generate a log of features. Don't generate everything from scratch. Use existing libraries. When I first started this project, I tried to generate an entire user management system just with the AI from nothing, and no lie, I lost hours. When I could have just, I already had Supabase installed, I could have just used the Supabase off, and that's what I ended up doing eventually. So don't rely on the AI to do everything. The humans have already done a lot of work. You just have to install it, right? Provide screenshots. So for example, if it had trouble, so it seems like our feature has gone awry. Okay, but look at this. This is pretty cool. So this is the agent trying to create that feature. Look, it's prompting me to run this command to add a new shadcn component. I can hit run command right there from within the agent. You can also turn on a mode called YOLO mode, and it just does all that stuff for you, right? But I'm a little bit more conservative, and I don't want it to take over my computer. So yeah, it continues to do some things there. But anyways, the point of taking the screenshot is that sometimes it doesn't understand your words. Sometimes it's easy to just take a screenshot and kind of circle what you're talking about with your annotation tools on your machine, and it has vision. It can look at that image and get a better idea of what you want. Commit early, commit often. AI can get it wrong. Make sure you're keeping up with Git. Don't trust the bot. Review the generated code. Some people recommend that you review the responses from the AI completely. I think that's stupid. Because a lot of times it's just telling you, this is what I did. Okay, I'm just going to go look at it and see what you did, okay? So there is some value to actually reading the response, but definitely read the code, right? Definitely read the code that it generates. Don't try to do everything at one time and describe in detail what you want. Use the .cursor rules to provide coding preferences or common patterns. This is actually a really big one. Slow down, all right? It's really, really tempting because the AI is so fast to just keep hitting enter, okay? I think I've heard, vibe coding, that's the term they use now, where you're just hitting enter and just letting it do all the work. No, that's going to wind you up in a really bad place after a little while. Slow down, and I guarantee that if you slow down, you'll actually end up doing more work together with the AI in a less amount of time than you did in the same amount of time with no AI. Even though you're going a little bit slower. You're reading, right? You're checking things out. Copy and paste examples of your API payloads, JSON data, etc. to pass to the LLM. This is almost outdated advice at this point because now with the model context protocol, we can grab context from all sorts of different external sources, okay? This is something that Anthropic came out with not too long ago. I think it was a few weeks ago. So for example, they have an official MCP server for Google Drive. So you could have context from your Google Drive right there inside of your agent while you're developing. Maybe your, one of your other teams keeps up with some product specs there. You could have that piped right into your IDE, so when your agent is working, it knows what those specs look like. The Postgres SQL MCP server I installed on this project. And what that allowed me to do was to communicate directly with the Supabase database I had set up. I could ask it questions about the schema, and it knew exactly what my database looked like. I could also ask it questions about the data that existed inside of that database. Here, I asked it something about how many exams exist for my app, and it told me. It was the exact right answer. And of course, it's using this not only context to answer my questions, it's using this external data as context as it's generating code for your app, so it knows your structure better. Okay, those are my workflow tips. Now let's talk about some tips about integrating AI into your applications. Some quick use cases. Extracting text from an image is extremely easy with AI. Did it in no time in this app. You could also generate like image alts. You can easily have AI figure out what is in an image and describe it for you, and boom, there you go. There's you an image alt. You can translate text into different languages. You could support smarter semantic search with RAG. So this is search that not just accounts for keyword matches, but like semantic meaning. It understands things more so the way we understand things. Things like summarizing content, generating images and video, and almost even totally rethinking how users interact with your app. To be honest, y'all, I think there's going to be less UI in the future, and there's going to be more stuff, there's going to be more text that's supported with AI. I'm not going to say the UI is completely gone. That's not the case at all. But I think there's some room to rethink whole user interfaces for optimal performance, optimal user experience with AI. Okay, here's an obvious one, but a really concrete example I thought would really make a point. Use the right model for the right task. When I first started this project, I was using Claude 3 Opus in order to generate those pages, in order to scan those textbook pages. And to scan a single page, it cost me 9 cents and took about 35 seconds. By just changing the model, a single line of code that's just a simple string to Claude 3.5 Sonnet, I reduced the latency down to 17 seconds, and I cut my costs significantly, down to a penny per page. Choose the right model for the right task. That often just takes a little bit of experimentation to find which is the dumbest model that still gets the job done. Okay? So provide examples in your prompts. This is my prompt that I'm sending to Claude in order to extract the text from those pages. Please extract and return all the text content from this textbook page, format it naturally, blah, 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 but then at the end, return only a JSON object with the following structure. I'm giving it an example. This is the exact object I want back. And this is what the values in that object look like. See there, it says page number. Give me a page number property. What does the value of that look like? I've described it for you in detail, okay? Give it detail and give it examples in your prompts. And then ask for JSON-only responses. I had someone recently ask me, well, how in the world do you actually build like apps with UI? How does, I mean, it's text, right? It's chat. Like I understand the question asking on ChatGPT, but how are you actually, creating an exam from the response from an LLM? Well, all I did is ask for a JSON object back, and that's something I can parse and then I can work with in CodeLand very easily, right? So I found that you have to be very explicit with this. Do not return anything else, okay? Or else it'll say, hey, here you go, here's a JSON object. No, you don't want that. You want to be able to take that response and parse it. You want to be able to mitigate latency with streaming or queues. AI is still slow. Okay? If you need a JSON object back, can't really stream, you need the whole object at one time, do it in the background in a queue. If you just need straight text, stream away, just like ChatGPT does. By the way, here's an example of a scheduled task in Nuxt. Super easy to set up queues in a Nuxt project. Chunk larger requests into smaller pieces and then pass along a summary of the context. For example, when I was generating longer quizzes, that is quizzes from 5 to 10 pages worth of content, even though I was very explicit and said, generate 30 questions, because I was passing along all that page content all at once, it simply ran out of tokens in order to get back the number of questions that I needed. And so I chunked it up on hindsight, I probably should have chunked it up by page, but the way I chunked it was a little bit weird. But I chunked it up so that I was in a loop and was only requesting 10 questions at a time, and ultimately got the 30 that I needed, right? All right, real quickly in closing, maybe the most fun part of this talk, because who doesn't love a AI tools roundup? This is a really cool site I found online. It's called database.build. It's a quick way to chat and get some database schemas created. So you can say something like build a Stripe clone or build me an e-commerce app, and it'll generate SQL migrations as well as a nice chart here describing the relationship between all those different tables. It's pretty cool. Speaking of databases, Supabase, their whole client that exists there in the web browser that allows you to interact with the database, it has full support for AI. You can do things like write queries, debug query issues, set up row-level security policies, and more just with English, right? With the way you talk. Bolt.new is pretty cool. To be honest, this is what turned me on to AI to begin with and really blew my mind that this is not just a fad. Go check it out. Don't have time to talk about it right now. There's also a couple of Bolt.new alternatives, I would say. They also exist completely in the browser. I would say these are great for people who are brand new to code because they literally don't have to install anything at all on their machine. They just open the web browser and go. All right? I would suggest Claude over ChatGPT. Of course, there is also DeepSeek. Okay, the advantage of this is that it's completely open source. I paid $20 a month for Claude. You can run DeepSeek for free. You can run it locally, and since it's being run local or on your own rented server space or whatever, all that data is private, right? So this is great for use cases like in the medical field, in banking, things like that. Photoshop, yes, I still use Photoshop. It's still a thing. And it actually has some really cool AI powers now. Check out how I'm able to select this flower, and very crude selection of this, right? There's no tedious selection like you had to do in old Photoshop days. And then I'm able to remove it within a matter of seconds. Then I'm able to paint on the page somewhere else, and then generate some brand new object using AI right there on the page. As web developers, this might not be so handy, but as web designers, this is really cool. 11 Labs has some fairly convincing text-to-speech technology. Check that out. Runway has really great video generation. I played with this just yesterday. You can go from text to video or image to video, and I created this, I think, pretty cool little animation for the VueJS Amsterdam logo after 3 or 4 iterations and in about 20 minutes. All right, I am Daniel Kelly, IO on Twitter. I'll tweet out these slides as well as the code base for the little the TestMaker app once I'm off stage. If this topic does pique your interest, then at Vue School we are planning on creating an AI for developers masterclass, because the topics that I share with you certainly. Oh, is it? Sorry about that. Thank you. So the topics that I've shared with you certainly aren't comprehensive. In this, we plan to go much, much deeper, collaborate with other experts in the field, and really make something that's going to boost your career. All right. Come say hello at our booth if you have any questions, just want to chat about AI or anything at all. Thank you so very much for your time and attention. And yeah, y'all have a wonderful evening. Thank you.